What's up guys, my name is Ace, and one thing that's really been up in the air with Modern Warfare 2 is with this being heavily rumored to be a 2-year Call of Duty game, what are they going to do in year 2 to keep things fresh and exciting? Well, just last night, we may have gotten a bit of an indication of at least part of what they might be doing to keep things fresh in year 2, and this is coming from a reliable leaker in the community, the Ghost of Hope, and he tweeted this. Apparently this is coming from a trustworthy source of his. It looks like Infinity Ward are planning to release all, or at least almost all, of the original Modern Warfare 2 maps all at once at some time during post-launch for Modern Warfare 2. And he clarifies this very likely could be that year 2 content. So instead of a brand new Call of Duty game, it looks like they might just drop this giant map pack on us that gives us all, or at least almost all, of the original Modern Warfare 2 maps. And taking a look at the base maps that launched with Modern Warfare 2, it actually launched with 16 maps. And to this day, it seems like this is generally regarded as one of the best overall collections of maps that launched with a Call of Duty game. Like, not everybody loves every single one of these maps. There's a couple in here that are definitely not fan favorites, like Derail, for instance, and Underpass is often quoted in there as well. But as a total package, if we're looking at the collection of these maps together that launched with the game, this is often regarded as at least one of the best in the franchise history. And I feel like one of the biggest reasons for this is the sheer amount of variety that we see in these maps. Not only in the settings and the color palettes, that is really nice to see. It doesn't feel like you're playing the same old gray and brown map over and over again, but also in the way that they play. None of these maps really play exactly the same. Every time you got a different map in Modern Warfare 2, it generally required a totally different approach to how you play things. And that's something that I feel has kind of been lost over the years with the Call of Duty franchise. I feel like they started getting a little bit more formulaic with their map design, and therefore you don't see as much variety in playstyles and how you approach the maps compared to back in the day with Modern Warfare 2, where every map seemed to play very different. So my initial reaction to seeing this news is generally positive. I think it would be really cool to have access to all of these Modern Warfare 2 maps, especially year 2 as something to really freshen the game up instead of like drip feeding this content like one of these maps at a time throughout the seasons. It could be kind of interesting to get them all at once. However, if they do that, there are still some concerns that I would have around this. Again, just to be crystal clear here for anybody that thinks I'm being too negative about this, I am generally feeling positive. I just think it's important to point out some potential concerns with this, so hopefully those can be mitigated when these actually come, assuming this is accurate and we will be getting like this giant Modern Warfare 2 map pack. And the first concern that I have is with all of the modern gameplay mechanics and changes that they've made to the gameplay over the years. With Modern Warfare 2022, these maps may not play nearly as good as they did back with the original Modern Warfare 2. So things like faster movement speeds combined with unlimited sprint. That will significantly change how these maps play and flow. Also, the spawn design. Hopefully we don't see a Modern Warfare 2019 style spawn system, but if we did, that could make these maps play horrible compared to how they played back in the day. Additionally with that, I do fear that they might try to make some changes to improve these maps, and those changes may not land very well. And we saw this with several of the remastered maps in Modern Warfare 2019. With some of these maps that they brought back, they changed them a little bit. They added some new sections, they added doors to the maps. And while some of these changes I think were positives and it helped improve the flow of them, other changes I feel were either completely unnecessary or they actually harmed the map and they took away from the gameplay experience because the map no longer played the way that we remember it playing. And then finally, another concern that I would have, and this would go for any set of maps, if they were to add all of these maps all at once into regular rotation just alongside the other maps in the game, I do feel that's a risk, and that goes for any set of maps. It's not specifically picking on the old Modern Warfare 2 maps, but just by adding so many maps all at once, that could really change up the game, potentially positively, but potentially negatively. Like I said, if these maps don't play as well as we remember back in the day, and perhaps we've really been enjoying the new Modern Warfare 2 maps for an entire year, and then they suddenly drop all of these at once, it could really dilute the pool of the newer maps that are designed with these modern gameplay mechanics in mind, and at least for some people, that could immediately harm their enjoyment of the game. Now, I think it could also go the other way around, where it could immediately improve the enjoyment of the game because there's way more variety in maps that you have access to, and you get that huge nostalgia kick with all these old maps returning. But that's why I just wanted to list it into my concern section. It could be really good, but it could also be bad. And that really makes me wonder, if they add all of these maps at once, are they just going to add them into the regular rotation for all game modes alongside the existing maps in Modern Warfare 2022? Or are they going to have more of like a throwback playlist where they only have these old school maps in that? And therefore, if you don't like how the old Modern Warfare 2 maps play with the new game, then you can avoid them by just not playing in that playlist. So while overall this sounds really exciting and I'd love to try out all of these old Modern Warfare 2 maps in Modern Warfare 2022, it does also raise some questions and concerns. Now, another thing to discuss with this is in that tweet he says all or almost all of the Modern Warfare 2 maps. And that has me thinking, if they were to cut some maps and not bring every single one, which maps would I personally cut from this list? Well, I think the first one is fairly obvious, and I'm sure many people at least would agree with me, Derail. I don't think Derail should be a 6v6 map. Perhaps they would be able to make it work with Ground War, for instance. Like, I think it's big enough that it could be a Ground War map. But for 6v6, I definitely wouldn't want to see Derail return. And then to be honest, if it were up to me, I would probably also cut Rust as well as Scrapyard. And that's for the simple reason that both of these were already remastered in Infinity Ward's most recent Call of Duty game. And I'm personally not a fan when they just keep remastering the same maps over and over and over again, because you don't get that same sense of nostalgia if you played on that map in the last Call of Duty game that they made. When it comes to the rest of them though, yeah, I'd love to see them. Even Wasteland. I know Wasteland's a bit controversial because it plays very different from other maps, but that's honestly why I like Wasteland. I definitely wouldn't want to play a map like Wasteland like game after game after game, but every once in a while, just mixed into rotation, I found it really refreshing to play that map where it's super open, not a whole lot of cover, crazy long lines of sight. It offers a nice change of pace, and I really like variety in my gameplay. And with that, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this topic. I think this is definitely an interesting idea to really freshen things up for a second year of a Call of Duty game, since this is an unprecedented sort of a thing. But I would hope that there's more that goes alongside this. Some other things that I'd love to see for year 2 would be a year 2 mastery camo grind. So you know how we normally have like Damascus or Dark Matter or something like that? Maybe in year 2, they add an entirely new set of challenges for a totally new mastery camo. It could be similar to how they added the obsidian camos in Modern Warfare 2019, or it could just be more along the lines of the traditional mastery camo grind, but you just get a different camo for year 2. Additionally, I think it would be nice to see a big refresh for year 2 as well, where they just take care of a lot of the issues that a lot of the players experience in the first year. No matter how good Modern Warfare 2022 is going to be, there's going to be a handful of things that most of the community would agree are not good for the game, things that just aren't balanced properly, maybe some perks or weapon balancing or equipment balancing, kill streaks, or even just general gameplay mechanics. And I think it would be nice and refreshing to see essentially a year 2 overhaul where they address all of these primary concerns that they normally wouldn't get to with a 1-year Call of Duty, because it's not really worth it to massively rework things if the next Call of Duty game is about to drop anyway. Now, of course, all of this is just my thoughts, and this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. First up, what would you think about them adding all, or at least almost all, of the Modern Warfare 2 maps to Modern Warfare 2022? Sometime after launch, likely about a year after launch. And then on top of that, what other things do you think they could or should add for year 2 of this year's Modern Warfare 2? Do you think they need to go beyond just piling on more maps and guns and stuff? Or do you think that would be just fine to keep you engaged with the game for a second year? Just let me know all of those thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.